104.5, the team, your home for New York Jets football. The man who covers the Jets for NJ.com, Conor Hughes, with us right now. Conor, you had a great piece in NJ.com about Christian Hackenberg at OTAs. A lot of what we've heard, preseason-wise so far has been pretty glowing. You're shedding a little light on this. What are you really seeing? Is there more good or more bad so far from Hackenberg?
Let me put it to you this way. Christian looked better than he did his rookie season. When we saw him in OTAs and mini camp and training camp last year, he does look legitimately better than what he did then. But there are still areas of his game that need work. I mean, he's not a fine-tuned quarterback yet, which is expected. I mean, he's learning a brand new offense. John Morton's scheme is a West Coast style, which Christian hasn't played in before, which is harder to pick up than other offenses. But taking that into consideration, there is good and there is bad with Christian, and we have seen both of that at OTAs. He made a beautiful 30, 40-yard pass to Sharon Peak on a deep post, which could not have been thrown any better on the 30th. And, this past week on June 6th, he threw another beautiful pass on a back shoulder fade route to Eric Decker for a touchdown in the red zone drill. So there are those positives to see, but then there are also the negatives. It's kind of the Hackenberg roller coaster that you're on, where you see glimmers of what the Jets fell in love with, and then you see these signs of why a lot of people had him rated as a third, fourth, fifth round quarterback, and the Jets reached for him in the second round. So the accuracy issues are there. He's been pretty inconsistent in just quarterback receiver drills. The decision making is better than it was last year, but there's still some issues there because there were numerous dropped interceptions in the team drills. So, it's a mix of both. It's good and it's bad. It's not like this is a guy that's ready to unseat Josh McCown as the Jets quote unquote starter right now. But, we'll see how things change and how he progresses in mini camp and training camp.
Just for a reference point from the really bad part of the article, I'm going to read this word for word from what you wrote. When Hackenberg misses, He really misses. He threw just 2 interceptions in team drills, but nearly tossed 6 others. And I'm not talking about a receiver falling down. I'm saying the defender just dropped the ball. Other times, the wide-out running back tight end was wide open, and Hackenberg sailed it over his head and bounced it to him. That can't happen. In the 3 media open OTAs, Hackenberg hit reporters with passes twice. What happened in those scenarios?
Yeah, look, it is what it's a fact. It happened in practice. It was the one a receiver ran an out route and Hackenberg sailed it over the guy's head, and the ball kind of sailed into where the media are, and it hit a guy in the leg. And the other one, I believe, a receiver ran and maybe it was a route miss up or something like that, and the ball again sailed a little bit further down the field and hit a reporter in the arm. So, it's not like these 2 passes came in and nailed reporters in the head or somebody had to be carted off the field because Hackenberg's just pegging guys. It was 2 throws, and truthfully, the 2 this isn't new news. It's new news now because I guess people just saw the reports and what has been talked about for the last couple of weeks. The one pass happened on the 23rd. The one pass happened on the 30th, and I know I've written it, and 2 other outlets have written as well about this. I wrote an article and I talked about it in a video. It just now, I guess, happens to be picking up steam because somebody saw it and grabbed. Like I said, the article that was written and the article that's up there is aimed on kind of just a general assessment of Christian Hackenberg at OTAs with his positives and his negatives highlighted. But I think, maybe even I underestimated just how polarizing this guy is and how people seem to want him to fail and just want to look for, they have no problem ignoring the beautiful pass he threw to Decker, and they have no problem ignoring the beautiful pass he threw to Peak, just to focus on those 2 throws that just, hit reporters and the 2 throws that make him look bad because, honestly, it comes off like a lot of people just want to see this guy fail, which is, whatever, I guess. Like I said, he's a polarizing player. Some people love him, some people hate him, but there was positives to his game that are outlined in the article I wrote, and there are negatives. It's just like I said, it's the Hackenberg roller coaster right now, which is what you kind of expect this early in OTAs.
NJ.com's Conor Hughes with us right now on 104.5 The Team. So, when I read the part where he's hitting reporters, I just kind of hoped it was like in Varsity Blues, where you didn't realize how good he really was, and he was doing that to punish you guys for writing bad things.
I guess we'll see. We'll see if that continues. You start saying people. No, I'm kidding. Look, man. It was 2 off throws. They happen. The media are standing on the sidelines so that you are in an area where you can get hit, and 2 passes hit reporters. It wasn't It wasn't like this was, I mean, I know it now has become it, but it wasn't like this was the story. It's not like this was the point of the article was to say Hackenberg hit 2 reporters. The point of the article is just to point out the good and the bad. And that was one sentence in, I think, a 1,200-word article that has since kind of taken over and people ran with it. And like I said, he's clearly a polarizing figure. He's clearly a guy that people want to focus on the bad, not all the good that he's shown. So that has now become the headline and not everything else that he's accomplished thus far. And it should be noted, too, I mean, the media only saw 3 of 10 OTAs. I mean, that's a fact. We only saw 3 of the 10 OTA practices that they worked at. So who knows? I mean, Hackenberg could have thrown 6 touchdowns and no interceptions on Wednesday, and we just weren't there. He could have thrown 10 interceptions on Monday, and we weren't there. We only see 3 of the 10. It's mini camp that we're at every single practice of, and it's training camp we're at every single practice of. So, right now we're only getting a very small glimmer of what guys can look like. And a perfect example, this time last year, all of us were talking about how great D. Milner looked, and look how that ended up. So, things changed, and things obviously evolve. And with Christian, he's a young quarterback. He's a 22-year-old kid, I think he is, and he's getting better. And that's the thing. He has taken baby steps. He's just not there yet.
Conor, have you, and you said it's only a glimpse, and, D. Milner looked good in a glimpse. Have you seen enough to, edge your bet one way or another? Like, is it 60-40 you think he could be an NFL quarterback, or is it 40-60 you don't think it could happen? Do you have any kind of edge on that at all right now?
Nah, really, I don't. It's so early because you think about it. We've seen the two, every practice, there's usually one play or 2 plays where you look around and you're like, that's the throw. That's the big time throw. That's what the Jets love. The issue is that he'll follow that 1 or 2 throws with 4 or 5 where you're like, oh, what was that? That's kind of what this has been like. Now, it's not as severe as last year because last year it was, and it was essentially 6 days of terribleness, and then in one day you'd see the one pass. Now those passes are kind of happening more frequently, but it's still not consistent enough to say this guy can play. Because the thing you got to remember is that in the NFL, there are tons of guys with killer arms. Geno Smith is a perfect example. This is a guy who had one of the most incredible arms I've ever seen. But there is so much more to the quarterback position because you can be perfect on 17 of your 20 throws, but if those 3 passes are not perfect and they're intercepted by defenders, you're done. I mean, that's a fact. You throw 20 passes, 17 are perfect, 3 are intercepted, and that's a terrible game for a quarterback. So it really, there's such a low room for error, and there's a low margin of error that you can't have those issues come up. And right now with Hackenberg, they are there too frequently. But again, as he gets more comfortable in this offense and he gets more reps like he will get in minicamp and in training camp and then heading into the preseason, that's when you get an accurate assessment of him. Because right now, you don't really have that. You don't really have yet that accurate of an assessment because he's learning a brand new offense. This is the first time he's really getting reps because the Jets had 4 quarterbacks last year and Hack was 4th in the pecking order. So now you're kind of just, you're waiting to see how he progresses and how he gets better. We saw him at 3 OTAs, and now we're going to see him at minicamp next week, and we'll see if he gets better there, and then training camp, and then in preseason, and then maybe into the regular season.
NJ.com, Conor Hughes with us right now, 104.5 The Team.
What's the future with Eric Decker? Are the Jets even possibly going to be able to get something out of the Baltimore Ravens for him?
They could. I mean, look, the whole thing is that if Eric Decker hits the free agent market, he's going to be a sought-after player. So the idea that a team like the Jets obviously are going to get rid of him. He's not going to be on this team, which hurts his trade value some, which is a little bit surprising that got out. But from Decker's point of view, you probably want to be a free agent because you can pick your team. So for a team, say the Ravens are worried about Decker becoming a free agent and going and signing with the Patriots, or going and signing with the Dolphins, or going and signing with the Chargers, or some other team, or maybe even the Vikings who could use a receiver in Eric from Minnesota. If the Ravens are worried that they're going to lose out on the Eric Decker sweepstakes, they could say, you know what, look, Jets, we know you're going to get rid of him anyway. We'll give you a conditional 6th where if he catches like 100 balls for 1,000 yards, it becomes a 5th. We'll do that for you just so that they can ensure they get Eric Decker, because Decker does have value and people will want Eric Decker. Now, what it comes down to is, do people want Eric Decker enough to give up a draft pick to ensure that they get him? Or are they willing to play their odds? Are the Ravens willing to say, you know what, no, we're not going to give anything up because we think we can woo him here in free agency and then go and sign him?
Conor Hughes, he is money, man. If it's cool with you, we'll keep bothering you through the preseason and see if you're safe from some of those errant footballs from Hackenberg.
Yeah, I'm sure I will be, man. I'm sure I will be.
Connor, thanks, brother.
Man.
Thank you. Bye.